Good morning. I should have started 3 p.m. but because of some network issue, I rebooted my system. But I think now, am I visible to everyone? Yes, and also everybody can uh, listen me. Good, great. So we are starting, and in our topic today, we have to start with a very interesting topic. And you know which topic we need to start with? It is GST registration. What which topics we have already covered in the last 3 revision sessions? I can tell you we have covered IGST Act, that is, we have covered place of supply, we have covered ITC input tax credit, we have covered exemptions and RCM, we have covered GST valuation, we have covered GST supply, GST introduction. Today I will be covering these other topics like GST registration. I will try to cover GST returns, and I will also try to cover payment of taxes and these kind of topics. And the last lecture will be on, I think, 1st December. Last revision lecture will be on 1st December. On that date, we will be covering all the parts of customs. So today we are starting with a very important topic, and the name of the topic is called GST registration. And first of all, if you can see on the screen, I will upload these notes on your link, which I have provided to ICMI, as well as I have provided in our previous sessions, the QR code, very similar QR code. You need to access that link, and I will also show that QR code at last or at the end of the lecture. And you can download these notes from there only. I will upload these notes on that QR link. So we are starting with a very important topic. The name of the topic is GST registration. And first of all, how many sections we have to cover in this topic? From section 22 to section 30. Approximately, we have 9 sections to cover this chapter, that is GST registration. And if you can see the index, the first section is section 22 that talks about the turnover limit of registration. And this is very important section, section 22. 24 talks about when you are mandatory liable to get registered irrespective of their turnover. Whether you are having a high turnover or where you are having a very low turnover, it doesn't matter. You will be registered. You will be liable to get registered if you are doing such nature of business where it is covered in section 24. We also have section 23 that gives us a list of about those person who are not liable to get registered under GST. So we have section 23 for that as well. And we have section 25 for the procedure of registration. So what is the registration procedure and how to proceed for any registration, that is covered in section 25. And section 26 talks about the deemed registration process. It's very easy. I'll let you know what exactly is written in section 26. 27 is again very easy, procedure of registration of casual taxable person and NRTP. Amendment, we have to go for section 28, and section 29 covers cancellation of registration, and section 30 talks about revocation of cancellation. So we have from section number 22 to section 30 that I will try to cover in next 40 minutes, and then we'll move on to the next topic. So first of all, so who are the person who are liable to get registered? A very important discussion we need to do, and a very important point we need to discuss here is, first of all, what exactly written in the provision? It says any person whose aggregate turnover crosses the threshold limit of registration in a financial year is liable to get registered in each state where he has a taxable place of business. Just look at this particular paragraph. Yes, this one. It is very important because what it says, any person whose aggregate turnover, first of all, we are talking about aggregate turnover, and I have covered composition. In that, I have told you what is the meaning of aggregate turnover. Aggregate turnover includes all taxable supply, all non-taxable supply, all turnover, all supplies, whatever, whether it is intra, inter, taxable, non-taxable, exempt, it doesn't matter. It is called aggregate turnover. If it is your turnover, then it will be called aggregate turnover. And 80 excludes taxes, so we don't have to add GST while we are calculating this turnover. So we need to deduct. If the turnover is GST inclusive, we have to make it exclusive of GST. So that will be the aggregate turnover, and it is always calculated on Pan India basis. So if your turnover, which is not only of one branch, but of course calculated on India basis, crosses a threshold limit of registration in a financial year. So if the turnover of your entity or if your turnover is exceeding a limit, there's limit. We are discussing the limit. Just wait for a few minutes. We'll discuss what is the exact threshold limit, but there is a limit of turnover. If your aggregate turnover is crossing that limit of turnover, then in that case, you are liable to get registered, and not only in that state, but each and every state from where you are doing a taxable place of business. It means if you are liable to get registered, then you will be registered in each and every state from where you are doing any taxable supply. Taxable supply. So for example, if I have 4 branches, so whether I should be liable to get registered for all the 4 branches, whether I am doing all the taxable businesses or whether one of the branch is only doing exempt business. For example, one of my branches only doing exempt business, then in that for that particular branch, I don't need to get registered. So I have branch in 4 states, but my Gujarat branch is doing completely exempt business. So I don't need to get registered for for all the other 3 branches. I need to get registered because my total turnover in India is crossing it limit, and that limit that we need to discuss. Okay, now sir, tell me what exactly is the limit. We can remember it is in a very easy manner. What I can do is just look at the screen and I will help you to remember it. First limit is for 10 lakh aggregate turnover, and this limit is only for 4 states. I call them MMNT states. MMNT. It's just a short form to remember. MMNT. Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Tripura. These 4 states, we can call them MMNT states, and there the turnover limit is only 10 lakh, whether it is for goods or whether it is for services. It doesn't matter. The turnover limit is only 10 lakh rupees. Great. There are some states where the turnover limit is 20 lakh for all the goods and all the services. They are having a turnover limit of 20 lakh, and those states are called U stamp. Now, why it is called U stamp? Because Uttarakhand, then we have Sikkim, then we have Arunachal Pradesh, then we have Telangana, we have Meghalaya, and we have Puducherry. So U stamp is the short form to remember this particular list that says that if your turnover is more than 20 lakh in these states, then you are liable to get registered. So you can remember this in short forms. For 10 lakh limit, it will be called MMNT, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura. For 20 lakh limit, it is called U stamp. And for all the other states, it will be 20 lakh for, some specified goods and services, and for all other goods and services, it will be 40 lakh. So what are these specified goods and services? Looking at the above part of this screen: pan masala, tobacco, ice cream, aerated water, roofing tiles and bricks. For these, the limit is 20 lakh. For all other goods, it is 40 lakh. For services also, the limit is 20 lakh. But for all other goods, it will be 40 lakh. So if you are dealing in services, the limit of 20 lakh will be applicable. So if you are dealing in pan masala, tobacco, ice cream, aerated water, again the limit is 20 lakh is applicable. Even for roofing tiles, fly ash bricks, these kind of bricks also, the limit is 20 lakh rupees. But for all other goods, the limit will be 40 lakh. And this limit is applicable for all the other states other than MMNT and U stamp. So just keep those states side. MMNT and U stamp, keep these states side. All the other states, all the other union territories, you are having 2 different limit. There is a normal limit of 20 lakh for all the services and these goods. The limit is 40 lakh for all the other goods. Great. Now, just tell me what is the answer. Just say I am asking a few example. You just need to answer what should be the turnover limit for in each and every case. Okay. The first case is there is a trader of Madhya Pradesh and he is dealing in clothes. There is a tailor of Madhya Pradesh, MP, and he is dealing in clothes. Tell me what limit will be applicable, whether it will be 40 or whether it will be 20 lakh rupees. Tell me, what should be the limit? Of course, the limit should be 40 lakh. You know why 40 lakh? The reason is very simple because first of all, Madhya Pradesh is not covered in MMNT and USTAN. It's not a special category or different kind of state. It's a general state. And that's why for them, the limit is 40 lakh for goods. And clothes are goods. Therefore, the limit applicable will be 40 lakh. Okay. Another example. There is a CMA, cost and management accountant working in Gujarat. Tell me whether the turnover limit of 40 lakh or 20 lakh will be applicable, or maybe 10 lakh. What turnover limit will be applicable for a CMA working in Gujarat? It is, of course, it is 20 lakh rupees. You know why? Because cost accountant is is a service provider. They are not selling goods. So the limit of 20 lakh is applicable, not 40 lakh. So here the limit of 20 lakh will be applicable in this case. This is case number 2. Sir, but what about all other cases? Like there will be a situation where a person is having branch in 2 states and one is covered under MMNT and one is covered under USTAM, one is covered under normal state. For example, I am having 2 branches. One branch is covered in Sikkim, one branch is in Sikkim and another branch is in Gujarat. Now, my turnover is calculated on pan-India basis. So what limit will be applicable for me, 20 or 40? I am dealing in goods. So whether the limit of 20 lakh should be applicable or the limit of 40 lakh should be applicable. Always remember, in case if there is a conflict in 2 limits, like I am having 2 different branches and one branch is in one state and another state and the limit is different, then what should I choose? Always go for lower limit. Always go for lower limit. There might be another circumstance, like I am a person who is registered or who is doing business in Maharashtra, but I am dealing in goods as well as services. Now for goods, the limit is 40 and for services, the limit is 20. So what limit will be applicable in such case? I'll always go for lower side, always. So if I am crossing a turnover of 20 lakh now, I need to get registered in Maharashtra. So it is as simple as that. Always go for lower side. So if there is a conflict, there are 2 different limits applicable in 2 different situations, but the person is same. There is one company and that company is dealing in goods and services both. So the limit of 40 or 20, which will be applicable, sir? Always go for lower. So 20 lakh limit will be applicable. If the company is crossing the limit of 20 lakh, then tax will be applicable. Okay, I think you got it. And this is a very important point. Section 22 giving the threshold limit of the turnover. Moving towards next point. After that, I have quoted some examples here, but I have covered majorly all the examples that I need to make you all of you understand. There is one more example that we can see. Look at the example. Again, it's a very interesting example. Look at the screen. I have a branch and the branch is in Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Gujarat. But my branch is taxable in 2 states, but I'm dealing in exempt goods in Gujarat. So in Gujarat, I'm dealing in goods which are completely exempt under GST. So they are completely exempt under GST. So now my turnover is 15, 17, 20. First of all, I'm dealing in goods. So we need to calculate our AT. I've told you whenever we are calculating AT, we always include all the turnover, whether it is taxable, whether it is exempt, always. So what will be my turnover? Sir, my turnover will be 52 lakh rupees. That's for sure that my turnover is 52 lakh. Now the question arises is, sir, threshold limit applicable will be, sir, all these states are of normal category, MP, Maharashtra, Gujarat. So of course the limit applicable will be 40 and I am dealing in goods. So definitely 40. Now my AT is 52 and my threshold limit is 40. So of course it is crossing the limit. I need to get registered, but I don't need to get registered in Gujarat. And you know why? Because I am completely dealing only and only in exempt goods in Gujarat. So I don't need to get registered for Gujarat. I will be registered in Maharashtra. I will be registered in Madhya Pradesh, but I will not get registered in Gujarat. So this is again very interesting to understand. So if you are dealing completely in exempt goods, then you need to include the turnover in your AT, but that branch doesn't need to get registered. That branch doesn't need to get registered. That you can remember, it is very important to understand. Got it? Moving towards the next point. Uh, Transfer of business, not important. Demerger, not important. We can move on to another important section, and that is section 24. So section 22 cover all those person whose turnover is crossing the limit. Now I'm talking about those people whose turnover is not crossing the limit, but they are also liable to get registered because they are covered in section 24. So section 24 imposes mandatory liability to get registered whether your turnover is crossing the limit or not crossing the limit. So अगर आप इस section में आ गए, if you are covered in this section, then you don't need to calculate any turnover. You will definitely be liable to get registered. Great. So what is the first point? A person making interstate supply of goods except handicraft goods. So yes, a person, if he is dealing in any kind of interstate transaction, if he is selling the goods outside the state, then he needs to get registered where his turnover is 20 or 40. It doesn't matter your turnover is less than 20 or 40. It doesn't matter. You need to get registered because why? Because you're dealing in interstate transactions. So very first point is if you're dealing in any kind of interstate transaction, you need to get registered whether your turnover is crossing the limit or not. It doesn't matter. But there is an exception, and that is for handicraft goods. And again, here we are only covering interstate supply of goods. So if I am a service provider, then if my turnover is not more than 20 lakh, or if I am not covered under section 22, then definitely I am not covered under section 24 as well, because they are only covering interstate supply of goods. They are not covering interstate supply of services. So I can do interstate supply of services without getting registered if my turnover is not crossing the limit. If I am not covering in section 22, if I am not covered in section 22, even section 24 will not be applicable because I am doing interstate supply of services. They are also only and only covering interstate supply of goods. And again, there is an handicraft goods for which there is an exception that if we are doing any interstate transaction of handicraft goods, then also we will not impose section 24. So अगर आप handicraft goods में भी deal कर रहे हो ना, तो आपके ऊपर section 24 applicable नहीं होगा. Section 24 applicable होगा only if I am dealing in interstate supply of goods. Nice. Moving towards next point. Casual taxable person and NRTP. Yes, they are also mandatory liable to get registered. Now, who are CTP and who are NRTP? If you have attended my composition lecture, then I have told there that who is CTP and who is NRTP. In a simple manner, एक ऐसा बंदा जो दूसरे स्टेट में जाके एग्जीबिशन लगाता है, दैट पर्सन इज कॉल्ड सीटीपी. जो रहता किसी और स्टेट में है, उसका बिजनेस किसी और स्टेट में है, पर टेम्परेरी कुछ टाइम के लिए वो दूसरे स्टेट में जाके बिजनेस करता है, वो किसी एग्जीबिशन का पार्ट बनता है, या बहुत शॉर्ट ड्यूरेशन के लिए कोई बिजनेस ओपन करने के लिए दूसरे स्टेट में जाता है. दैट पर्सन विल बी इज कॉल्ड सीटीपी. और अगर यही अब्रॉड से कोई बंदा आके इंडिया में टेम्परेरी को स्टॉल लगाए, एग्जीबिशन में अटेंड करे, या बहुत शॉर्ट टर्म के लिए अगर वो इंडिया में आके बिजनेस करे, सो ही नीड टू गेट रजिस्टर्ड एज एनआरटीपी. अगेन दे आर liable to get registered in that state where they are doing that temporary business. So अगर मैं 15 दिन के लिए भी दिल्ली जाता हूँ एग्जीबिशन लगाने के लिए, so I need to get registered as CTP, of course. And if I'm coming from abroad, then I need to get registered as NRTP. But again, there is an exception of handicraft. So if I am bringing handicraft goods with me, if I'm selling handicraft goods, then there is no liability to pay tax. Otherwise, if I am doing any other, I am participating in any kind of exhibition outside my state where I am registered, then I need to get registered in that state as CTP or maybe NRTP. So there is no turnover limit for them. They need to get registered in that state where they are temporarily going to do any kind of business. Great. Next is third person, a person supplying taxable goods through e-commerce operators. So all the Amazon dealers who are supplying electronic items, who are supplying clothing, shoes through Amazon, they need to get registered. Definitely they need to get registered. So you can't do any online business without GSTN. Yes. अगर आपको Amazon पे business करना है, even if your turnover is less than 10 lakh rupees, if your turnover is less than 5 lakh rupees, it doesn't matter. Amazon पे आप कितने भी छोटे डीलर हो, आपको वहाँ पे GST नंबर लेना ही पड़ेगा. It is mandatory to get registered if you want to list on Amazon. If you want your product to be listed on Amazon, you should have a GSTN number. Otherwise, they will not allow you to even list your products if they are taxable goods. Next, of course, e-commerce operator need to get registered. They need to get registered as TCS collector. You know why? Because TCS provisions are applicable on all the e-commerce websites. So all the e-commerce websites are covered in the provision of TCS under the umbrella of TCS, and that's why those Amazon and Flipkart and all the e-commerce operator, they need to get registered as TCS collector. Great. Now, if there is any person who is liable to pay tax under RCM, सो अगर मेरे ऊपर आरसीएम की लाइबिलिटी है और मुझे एज ए रिसीवर रिवर्स चार्ज मैकेनिज्म में टैक्स पे करना है, तो भी मुझे कंपलसरी रजिस्टर होना पड़ेगा. सो इफ देयर इज एनी ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर और एनी अदर पर्सन हु इज लायबल टू गेट रजिस्टर्ड अंडर आरसीएम, ही नीड टू गेट रजिस्टर्ड. ISD, input service distributor, it's an head office of the branch. So head office को branch को ITC pass on करने के लिए register होना पड़ता है. ISD needs to get registered under GST. Next one is foreign OIDER. So all the cloud-based service providers, all the gaming apps and every kind of online service provider, and they are existed in foreign, they are not existed in India, they need to compulsory get registered under section 24. Next is agent of the taxable person, principal. So if the principal is taxable, now the agent itself become taxable. So he need to get registered if he's doing or he's dealing on the behalf of any taxable principal. I have already covered the person liable to get the tax under RCM. I've told you if there is any liability of RCM on any person, then that person needs GST. Otherwise, how he will pay our tax, RCM tax? Definitely, he needs to get registered under GST. Next is TDS deductor. They are basically government department. Government department need to deduct TDS when they are paying contract payments. अगर आपने गवर्नमेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स का पेमेंट करना है गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स को, सो दे नीड टू डिडक्ट TDS, and that's why they should be registered as TDS deductor, TDS deductor. And finally, other notified persons. So we in overall, we have 10. 11th is other notified persons. So I'm not considering that. Other than 11th one, we have 10 different people who need to get registered under section 24, even if their turnover is less than 10 lakh, 20 lakh, or whatever the limit we have discussed in section 22. So irrespective of the turnover, they need to get registered under section 24. So this is the list of these 10% that needs to get registered. Again, we can repeat once again. I can revise it. The very first person is the person making interstate supply. So if any person is making any kind of interstate supply of goods, he need to get registered. Second is CTP and NRTP. He needs to get registered also. Again, there are two exceptions for these handicraft goods. So except handicraft, everybody needs to get registered who is doing interstate transaction or who is a casual taxable person or non-resident taxable person. Next, a person who is supplying taxable goods through any e-commerce platform. So all the dealers who are listed on Amazon or Flipkart, they need to get registered under GST as well. Next is all the e-commerce operator, because they have a liability to deduct TDS. Therefore, they need to get registered as TDS deductor. Sorry, TCS collector. So TCS collector is for Amazon, Flipkart, and all the e-commerce website, and TDS deduction is for government department. So here we will be discussing about TCS collector and TDS deductor. Next, ISD, input service distributor, OIDER, foreign OIDER, agent of the taxable person, the person who has need to pay tax under RCM, and other notified person. So this is the list of people who needs to get registered under section 24. Now, the next important point is who doesn't need to get registered, the person who is not liable to get registered. And here's the list. First of all, agriculturist or his agent. In India, farmer is completely exempt from any kind of taxation. I think everybody knows that. Even if we are talking about income tax, no income tax is levied on farmers. So agriculturist is also exempt from GST, though they don't need to pay any kind of GST and they don't need to get registered under GST. And so first exemption is for agriculturist. Second is the person who is exclusively engaged in exempt and non-GST supply. I have told you in section 22 as well. If I'm only and only dealing in exempt or non-GST goods, then I don't need to get registered. Why I need to get registered if I don't have to pay any GST? So of course, a person who is engaged in exempt or non-GST supply doesn't need to get registered. The person whose supply is covered under RCM. एक ऐसा बंदा, एक ऐसा पर्सन जिसका पूरा का पूरा टैक्स सप्लायर को नहीं रिसीवर को ही भरना है, तो सप्लायर विल बी एग्जाम ना. Supplier is more like an exempt person because he doesn't need to pay any tax. So why to ask them to get registered if they don't need to pay any tax? And that's why they are also excluded from the list of registration and they don't need to get registered. Next is interstate supply of services up to the limit. Yes, I've told you that section 24 only cover interstate supply of goods. So if you are dealing in interstate supply of services, then you have the turnover limit. If you are not crossing that limit, then you are not liable to get registered. The next person is any person who is dealing in handicraft goods. Again, there is a turnover limit, but if you are within the turnover, then whether it is inter or intra, you are not liable to get registered because you are not covered in section 24. You are only covered in section 22. Got it? Very nice. Now, what is the procedure to get registered? So I got it that when I need to get registered and when I doesn't need to get registered. But now how to register and what is the procedure to get registered? The very first point is, sir, we need to file a form. And what is the form number? Form number is REG01. Yeah, this is the name of the form that I need to file if I need to get registered under GST. What is the form number? REG01. Now, in how many days, sir? Of course, there is always a time limit for doing anything. So in how many days I need to apply? I need to file this form in 30 days from the day I am liable to get registered. Yes, so whenever my turnover is crossing the limit, or if I am doing any transaction covered under section 24, so I becomes liable from a certain date. From that date, I will get 30 days to get registered under section 25. So how many days I will be getting to get registered under section 25? I need to file an application within 30 days. Yeah, again, the time limit is to file an application within 30 days. So I need to file this REG01 form within 30 days from the date I am liable to get registered. Great. Next, sir, what is the effective date of registration? Now, this is very interesting. What I told you right now that I need to get registered within 30 days now. Yeah. So if I have applied within 30 days now, I will be registered from the date I am liable to get registered. This is again very interesting. So I will get the retrospective registration. So for example, I am registered from I am liable from 1st July and I got registration on 15 July, then I will be deemed registered from 1st July. अगर मैं 15 जुलाई को भी मेरा GSTIN नंबर आता है, मैं बाय डिफॉल्ट 1 जुलाई से रजिस्टर्ड मान लिया जाऊंगा. Actually, it is very beneficial for a taxable person to get registered from 1st July. You know why? Because in that case, he can claim ITC from 1st July only, and he also has the right to collect tax from the customer as well. Otherwise, if he's not registered, then he doesn't have right to tax collect, but if to collect tax. But if he is registered, then he has right to collect tax from the customer, and that's why it is good to get registered from the date you are liable to get registered. And that's why if you are applying within 30 days, you will be registered from the date you are liable to get registered. But if because of any reason I can't apply within 30 days, I didn't apply it within 30 days, then my registration will be granted from the date of grant of registration. So it is not that good. No, it's not good. You know why? Because you are liable to pay GST from back date and you are getting registered from this date. So that is very difficult because you need to pay tax from your own pocket. You are not registered, so you don't have authority to collect tax from the customer, but you need to you need to pay tax because you are liable to get registered. So it is better to apply within 30 days. Otherwise, there will be repercussions. Great. Now, what if I voluntarily need to get registered? Very simple. सर अगर मुझे वॉलेंट्री ही रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना है, if I am voluntarily registering myself, then of course whenever I am getting the GST and I don't have any date from where I am liable to get registered. So there is no date for liability to get registered. That's why in this case, date of grant of registration should be considered, effective date of registration. Great. Now, there is one more thing. Sir, if you are a embassy or you are a UN organization like UNICEF or WHO, you are a part of any UN organization, or if you are any kind of foreign embassy, then government will give them a special number called UIN number. So for a normal taxpayer, they need to apply for GSTIN number. But if you are an embassy or if you are an UN body, then you will be getting not a GSTN number, you will be getting a UIN number. Of course, unique identification number. Sir, what is the use? Why there's a difference between GSTN and UIN? Of course, GSTN makes you pay tax. You need to pay tax after getting GST number. You need to pay certain amount of money. You need to pay tax if you are registered. But if you are having UIN number, then the government will refund you all the taxes that you have paid on purchases. So UIN number get the refund of taxes that uh, they have paid on purchases. So the main purpose of UIN is to claim refund of all the taxes that the embassy or that the UN bodies have paid on purchases. So whatever they are buying from any other person, that particular product is tax paid. So whatever they are buying, they are ultimately indirectly paying tax to the seller. So that tax will be refunded to UIN holders. So if I'm purchasing something, of course I am purchasing any goods. So I am not only paying the price of the goods, I am also paying tax. That paid tax will be refunded if I am an UN embassy, UN nation organization, UN organization, or I am a foreign embassy. That's very interesting to understand. इन लोगों को गवर्नमेंट देती है जीएसटी रिफंड. यस, इन लोगों को मिल जाता है जीएसटी का रिफंड. So these people get GST refund on the purchases, and that is why that they are called UIN holders. Yeah, they are called unique identification number holders, UIN holders. Great. Now, sir, what exactly is the procedure to get registered? Now I need all of you wait for a second. I will take you to the different slide and that slide will help you to understand what exactly is the procedure of registration. Just a second. What I am searching is I am searching a very interesting chart. I will add that chart in your notes, but I am searching a very interesting chart. That comprehensive chart will help you to understand the whole concept of GST registration process. Just give me a second. I'll download that chart. I think I have uploaded these charts here. No? It is not here. Okay, I'm not able to find the chat. Okay, no problem. I'll cover that in our notes as well. So we have these written in our notes as well. So what is the exact procedure? Listen very carefully. It is again very interesting to understand. Look at the procedure. So if we are applying for GST registration, I have told you that we need to get applied within 30 days. Now, once I will file the REG01, I need to do an Aadhaar authentication process. Yes. Once I am filing the GST application, registration application, I need to go for Aadhaar authentication process, and that Aadhaar authentication process I need to complete within 15 days. Sir, if I am completing in 15 days now, then within 15 days, or whenever I will complete my other authentication, my application will be submitted then only. Sir, what if I am not doing the Aadhaar authentication within 15 days? Then my application will be submitted without Aadhaar authentication. And I can tell you there are two different processes. If I'm going with Aadhaar authentication and if I'm going without Aadhaar authentication, the process is completely different. So if I'm going with Aadhaar authentication, once I will file my application, department need to respond within 7 days. Yes, department need to respond within 7 days. So in 7 days, either department need to grant a GST certificate, or if there is any discrepancy in the application, if some information is not sufficient enough for them, then what they will do is they will issue a notice. And for that also, they will get 7 days to respond. So once I am filing the application and I am doing the Aadhaar authentication, they will get 7 days to respond. Either they will grant the GST number, or if the document is not sufficient or if the information is not sufficient, and then they will issue me a show cause notice. And once show cause notice has been issued, I need to reply within 7 days. And after replying within 7 days, again, department need to respond within 7 days. So the combination is I need to do the Aadhaar authentication within 15 days. Once the application is submitted with Aadhaar authentication, then 7 days department will get to either issue the notice, issue the certificate or notice. After 7 days, I'll get reply to that notice within 7 days. And once they will get the reply, they will get 7 days to finally took the action to take the action. Whether they will, if the reply is satisfactory, they will grant the registration. If the reply is not satisfactory, they can reject my application. So this is the basic process if I am doing the Aadhaar authentication. Sir, what if I am not doing the Aadhaar authentication? If I'm not doing the Aadhaar authentication, then department will respond within 30 days. Yeah, that is the huge difference. The department will get 30 days because I am not doing Aadhaar authentication. So department will physical verify my address. They will do all the verifications because I have not done my Aadhaar authentication. So they will get 30 days to do all the verification. And after that, they will respond whether they will grant the registration or they will feel that the documents are insufficient, then they will issue the notice. So rather than responding within 7 days, if I am not doing the Aadhaar authentication, then department will respond within 30 days. So that is a huge difference. So department will respond within 7 days if I am doing the Aadhaar authentication, and the department will respond within 30 days if I am not doing the Aadhaar authentication. So this is the process of Aadhaar authentication. And one more is how I can apply and how the department will respond. Now, these people doesn't not need to do any Aadhaar authentication. And who are they? The person who is not a citizen of India, a department or the establishment of any state government or central government, local authority, statutory bodies, PSUs, and person applying for UIN. So these are the people, they don't have Aadhaar number. A person who is not a citizen of India doesn't have Aadhaar number. Government department doesn't have Aadhaar number. Local authorities, statutory bodies, PSUs, they don't have Aadhaar number. Sir, what about a company? In company, directors need to do Aadhaar authentication. In partnership firm, one of the partner need to do Aadhaar authentication. In case of club or association, that club member of the club need to do Aadhaar authentication. But in case of government department, nobody need to do any kind of Aadhaar authentication. In case of local authority, nobody needs to do any kind of Aadhaar authentication. Great. Now, next important part is, no, this is not important. Next important part is section 26. बहुत easy. Very easy. You know what section 26 says? You don't need to get registered separately under CGST, SGST and IGST Act. There is a single window facility for all these act. Whether it is CGST, SGST or IGST, there is only a single window, and that's why you don't need to separately get registered under these act. That's written in section 26. Once your registration is approved under SGST Act, you are automatically approved under IGST, CGST, or other acts of GST. So you don't need to take separate GST number for all the different taxes. There will be a single GST number for all the taxes. That is written in section 26. Section 27 is very important because it talks about the registration process of casual taxable person and non-resident taxable person. So it is a section that talks about CTP and NRTP. So yeah, what is the process of CTP and NRTP? And of course, it is completely different from a normal taxpayer. Normal taxpayer get 30 days to apply. You know how many days CTP get to apply after being liable? It's completely opposite. They need to apply 5 days prior to become liable. So if I need to participate in any exhibition outside my state, so I am going to Delhi to participate in any exhibition, then I need to apply 5 days prior. Yes, at least 5 days prior, not after becoming liable to get registered, before becoming liable to get registered. And how many days prior to getting liable? At least 5 days before going in that state or before starting that exhibition. Very nice. And not only that, I also need to pay tax in advance because I am not a permanent resident of this state, because I am temporarily doing the business. So they are asking me to pay advance tax. खुला निकाल, पहले निकाल, एडवांस निकाल, बाद में देखेंगे, अभी पहले पैसा एडवांस चाहिए. So the government is very strict about that. You need to pay advance tax if you want to get registered as CTP or NRTP. And one more thing, of course, this registration is temporary, so the maximum time limit of this registration is only 90 days. Yeah, maximum. If I need to get registered for 10 days, okay, 15, okay, 30, okay, 45, okay, 60, okay, 120, not allowed. Maximum you can register here for 90 days. But yeah, once you get registered, if you need extension, then you will get extension later, but that is also not more than 90 days. So yeah, there is a provision of extension here, but extension will be after expiry of 90 days only. So that is written in section number 27, registration process of CTP and NRTP. One more thing is, sir, CTP has PAN number. Sir, what about NRTP? NRTP doesn't have PAN. NRTP doesn't have Aadhaar. So how he will get himself registered in India? First of all, if he is an individual, then instead of PAN, he would have passport number. So the passport number will do the job. Second, if it's a body corporate, it's not individual, then they should have SIN of that company, and that will do the job. However, with this passport number and SIN, we need one more thing attached, and that is PAN number of any authorized signatory and representative in India. Of course, to pay tax, they need Indian bank account, and to pay tax, they need a person who has valid PAN in India. And that's why a person is required to be authenticated who will be authorized representative of that CT NRTP, and we need the PAN number of that authorized representative. Definitely. A PAN number of authorized representative should be attached with the application that I'm filing for NRTP. Great. That is for section 27. So this is the registration process of section 27. Now we have another important section 28 that talks about amendment of registration. Yeah. So if I need to amend my registration, then section 28 is applicable. And you know what 28 says? 28 says that if there is any amendment, then these amendment may be of two different types. First one is amendment in core field, and second one is amendment in non-core field. So there may be two different kind of amendment. First one is amendment in core field, and second one is amendment in non-core field. And now what amendment in core field says, if you are having address change, or you are having change in legal name, or if your constitution is changing, like your partners are getting retired, your directors are getting retired, you are admitting new directors, you are admitting new partners, your trustees now changed, your karta is different. In this case, it is called core field amendment. You know why it is core field amendment? Because GST department thinks that these amendments are very serious in nature. So they don't consider all the other amendments as serious nature, and they are considered as non-core field amendment. So sir, what is the difference? एक serious amendment और एक non-core field amendment या less serious amendment में क्या फर्क है प्रोसेस में? Of course एक फर्क है, बहुत बड़ा फर्क है. The core field amendments need to be verified by the officer. However, non-core field amendment doesn't need any kind of verification from officer. That is the huge difference between core field and non-core field. Core field amendment needs to get verified from the officer. However, non-core field amendment doesn't need any kind of verification. So that's a huge difference between core field and non-core field amendments. Yes, I think you got it. It is regarding section 28. Now here I have also attached the process, but I don't think so that the process is very important. We can move on to a very interesting and important section in this chapter, and that is cancellation of registration, section 29. I think it is very important. You know what it says? It says that if you want to cancel your GST number, then it will be considered as voluntary cancellation, and it can be done because of these 4 reasons. What are these 4 reasons? Closure of business, death of proprietor, sale, demerger, merger or sale of business, or if I am no more liable to get registered under section 24 or 22. In this case, I will surrender my GST number, and that is called voluntary cancellation, where I will be voluntarily surrender my GST number. In case of closure of business, death of the proprietor, sale, demerger, merger, or when I am no more liable to get registered under section 22 or 24. But this is only for voluntary cancellation. What about when the department want to cancel your GST number? First of all, it is called suo motu cancellation. If the department wants to cancel your GST number, suo motu means department wants to cancel your GST. So it is called suo motu cancellation. And there are many reasons when department will cancel your GST. The very first reason is when I'm not doing any business from my registered place of business. So I am having a bogus address, and department inspect your premises and they find out that this address is bogus. Nobody is living there. Nobody is doing any kind of business there. That place is shut down. That place is closed. Then in that case, department has right. They will cancel your GST number. Yes. Second, when I am issuing bogus invoices, when I'm issuing invoices without doing any kind of supply, फर्जी बिल इशू कर रहा हूं मैं, नकली बिल दे रहा हूं, डिपार्टमेंट मेरा जीएसटी कैंसिल कर सकता है. तीसरा बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग रीजन है, द थर्ड रीजन इज व्हेन आई एम contravening anti-profiting clause. And you know what is anti-profiting clause? Anti-profiting clause says that if the government is reducing tax rate on any goods, you need to pass on the benefit of that reduction of tax to the customer. So अगर गवर्नमेंट ने आपके टैक्स रेट कर दिए हैं कम, तो उस टैक्स रेट का फायदा कस्टमर तक पहुंचना चाहिए. एंड इफ यू आर नॉट giving this benefit to your customer, it means you are taking all the benefits for your company for your profits. You are not passing on the benefit to the customer. It means the company is getting all the benefit of rate reduction, and that is the contravention of anti-profiting clause. तो अगर GST rates कम हो जाते हैं, गिर जाते हैं, तो कंपनीज को अपनी एमआरपी को भी कम करना पड़ता है, डिस्काउंट देना पड़ता है, बिकॉज टैक्स रेट्स कम हो गए हैं, उसका बेनिफिट कस्टमर को मिलना चाहिए. इट इज कॉल्ड एंटी प्रॉफिट. और इसका कॉन्ट्रावेंशन जो है वो अगेन जीएसटी कैंसिल करवा सकता है. नेक्स्ट इज व्हेन आई एम नॉट फाइलिंग जीएसटी रिटर्न्स फॉर consecutive 6 months or 3 quarters. So if I am a quarterly return filer, then 3 quarters. If I am a monthly return filer, then 6 months. But if I am a composition dealer, then there is an amendment here. In case of composition dealer, there is an amendment. And you know what is the amendment? I will write it down here. In case of composition, it's 3 months from due date. So composition dealer needs to file return by 30th April of the succeeding financial year, and the return is called GSTR 4. So if the composition dealer is not filing that GSTR return by the due date and 3 months is expired from the due date, then department will issue a notice कि भैया रिटर्न विटर्न नहीं भरना क्या, तुम्हारा जीएसटी कैंसिल कर दे. तो फिर बंदे को समझ में आएगा कि नहीं भैया रिटर्न तो भरना पड़ेगा. So they will issue a notice if you are not filing your return within 3 months from the due date, but it is for composition. For a regular person, if he is not filing 6 consecutive monthly returns, then your GST will be cancelled. Next, if there is a ITC mismatch or tax liability mismatch. So for example, what happens is my tax liability is higher, but I have paid lesser tax. मेरे पास टैक्स ज्यादा भरने को है, मैंने सेल ज्यादा किया है, मैंने बिल ज्यादा के जनरेट किए, पर मैंने टैक्स कम भरा है. सो गवर्नमेंट विल नॉट लीव यू देयर. गवर्नमेंट विल से कि भाई टैक्स बराबर भर. इफ यू आर नॉट पेइंग टैक्स प्रॉपर्ली, देन डिपार्टमेंट हैव राइट टू कैंसिल योर रजिस्ट्रेशन. Next, if I am voluntary registered and I am not starting the business within 6 months, okay. Last one is interesting. When the registration is obtained through fraud, I have used all the forged document to get myself registered, or if I have misstated information to get myself registered, then department will not department will cancel my GST. So these are the reason when department will cancel my GST. Again, I am repeating it because they can ask you this question in exam, that what are the reason for suo motu cancellation under section 29 of CGST Act. The first is when I'm not doing the business from the registered place of business. Second one is when I am issuing invoice, but without any kind of supply, without supplying of goods. Third is contravention of any anti-profiteering clause. Fourth one is I am not filing the returns on time, and I have not filed returns for last 6 consecutive months, or I have not filed a return for 3 months from the due date in case of composition. In all these cases, department is right that they can cancel my GST number. And if I have fraudulently applying in registration, and then department has right to cancel my GST. So this is the reason why department can cancel my GST. Now, there's a process, very simple process. Notice आएगा, reply करना है, फिर notice आएगा. So there's a very simple process. I am not going in that process. This is again very interesting. Yeah, this is interesting. Once I get a notice that my GST is getting cancelled because of any reason, my registration number gets suspended till its cancellation order. मेरे को नोटिस तो आ गया, ऑफ कोर्स मुझे नोटिस आ गया, क्यों ना आपका जीएसटी कैंसिल कर दिया जाए, बिकॉज देयर इज नो प्रोसेस इन जीएसटी विदाउट नोटिस. सर बट नोटिस आने के बाद जब तक इंक्वायरी होगी और कैंसिलेशन होगा, इस बीच में मेरे जीएसटी नंबर का क्या होगा, इसे सस्पेंडेड माना जाएगा. Yeah. So this GST number is suspended for a period from notice till its cancellation. And in that case, I will not be eligible to issuing any kind of invoice. I have no right to register any, to file any return in that period. So इस period के ना तो मैं return file कर सकता हूँ, ना ही मैं registration करवा सकता हूँ. So that is called suspension of my GST number till its cancellation. तो अगर मुझे notice आ जाता है, so उस period के लिए मेरा GST number suspend हो जाएगा, और जब तक वो cancel नहीं होता तब तक के लिए suspended ही माना जाएगा, until या तो वो notice ही void हो जाए या फिर cancellation order आ जाए, तब तक के लिए suspended माना जाता है. Great. Now, last section, that is section 30. Okay. And this section 30 talks about revocation of cancellation order. Revocation मतलब cancellation order ही खत्म हो जाए. मतलब मेरा GST number cancel हो गया, but I have right, I have an option कि मैं उस जीएसटी नंबर को वापस जिंदा कर सकूं. Yes, I have an option, and that option is given in section number 30, revocation of cancellation order. And you know what its section says? This section says that if your GST got revoked, sorry, if your GST got cancelled, you have received the cancellation order, then you will get 30 days to make your fault right. If you have not filed the returns, then file all the pending returns, make all your defaults good. Then come to us with a revocation application, and that requires to be filed within 30 days. Of course, there is an extension period that commissioner may extend, joint commissioner may extend 30 days extension period, but normally the time limit to file a revocation application is 30 days from the cancellation order. So once my GST number got cancelled, I will get 30 days to revoke my cancelled GST number. And for this, I need to file all my pending returns that are because of which my GST got cancelled, or because of any tax due or any other reason, then I have to make all that default good. Then only they will allow me to file a revocation application. And once my revocation application will be filed, then the department has an option that they can revoke my cancellation order. मतलब मेरे जीएसटी नंबर का रीबर्थ हो जाएगा. एक बार वो कैंसिल हो चुका था उसे वापस जिंदा कर दिया जाएगा. And that is covered in section number 30. Section 30 talks about revocation of the cancellation order. Very nice. Now, this is all about section 30. There are some forms given that I am attaching in your notes. You just have to refer these forms. These forms talks about a lot of GST registration details, but that you can read by your own. I just need to cover the main section of this chapter, that is registration. Now there is one more chapter that we need to cover right now, and that is very important, GST documentation. Let's give me a water break. I am just refilling my bottle, and again we will start with another chapter, that is GST documentation. I'm just refilling my bottle, giving a break of 1 or 2 minutes max. Okay, guys. So we need to start with a new chapter. And the next chapter that we need to discuss is called GST documentation. So yeah, this is the chapter that we have to start. We have covered GST registration. Now another topic is called GST documentation. And in this topic, we have to cover what is called taxable invoice, what is called revised tax invoice, what is called bill of supply, receipt voucher, refund voucher, debit note, credit note, delivery challan, e-way bill. These are the documents we need to discuss, and these are the four, I think, 3-4 important section in this chapter, section 31 to 34. Yeah. So first of all, we need to start with a very first document, and that document is called taxable invoice. So question rises, who issued this document, sir? Very simple. Any registered person doing any taxable supply. If a registered person is doing any taxable supply, then he need to issue a bill. That bill is called taxable invoice. So normally हम जो GST वाला बिल देखते हैं, अगर हम कुछ भी मोबाइल फोन खरीदते हैं या अगर हम कपड़े खरीदते हैं, so we always look at the bill. इसमें GST लिखा होता है. That invoice is basically called taxable invoice. Okay. In this case, the question arises is, sir, what are the contents of taxable invoice? एक taxable invoice में क्या क्या चीजें लिखी हुई होनी चाहिए? So first of all, एक taxable invoice में लिखा होना चाहिए name, address और supplier का GSTN number. उस taxable invoice में लिखा होना चाहिए date और एक printed serial number, name, address and GSTN of the receiver. और अगर रिसीवर अनरजिस्टर्ड है तो 50,000 से ऊपर के केस में उसका नेम और एड्रेस मैंडेटरी होता है. 50,000 से कम के केस में उसका नेम और एड्रेस ऑप्शनल होता है. We also need to write down description of goods, then HSN code or SSC code. But this HSN code is again optional if my turnover is less than 5 CR. So अगर मेरा टर्नओवर 5 CR से कम है तो B2C केस में when I am supplying it to I am supplying it to unregistered person, then in that case B2C केस में हमारा ये जो HSN है वो ऑप्शनल होता है अगर टर्नओवर मेरा 5 CR से कम है तो. Then I need to write down the quantity, I need to write down the UKC code, I need to write down invoice value, taxable value, rate of tax, amount of tax, also place of supply, inter or intra, and also the delivery address, tax payable under RCM and signature. These are the documents. These are the content I need to write down in my invoice. Approximately 16 contents. So what are the name? Again, I am explaining it. Name, address, GST of the supplier, date, serial number, and name, address of GST of the receiver. अगर रिसीवर अनरजिस्टर्ड है तो 50,000 से ऊपर के केस में नेम और एड्रेस मैंडेटरी होता है, पर 50,000 से कम के केस में नेम और एड्रेस ऑप्शनल होता है इन केस ऑफ अनरजिस्टर्ड रिसीवर. गुड्स डिस्क्रिप्शन HSN में भी ध्यान रखिएगा, इफ माय टर्नओवर इज लेस देन 5 CR देन इन केस B2C HSN इज ऑप्शनल. बट अगर मैं B2B सप्लाई कर रहा हूं और अगर मेरा टर्नओवर 5 CR से ज्यादा है तो आई नीड टू राइट डाउन HSN कोड और SSC कोड इन माय इनवॉइस. Quantity, and again the quantity code, invoice value, taxable value, rate of tax, amount of tax, place of supply, delivery address, whether tax payable under RCM or not, signature. These are the information I need to fill down in my invoice. Now, one more interesting, मैं छोटे छोटे बिल कैसे बनाऊं, and that's why they have given me an exemption. अगर मेरा कोई नाश्ते की दुकान है, कोई छोटी दुकान है और उस केस में मैं छोटे छोटे बिल बना रहा हूँ 50 रुपए, 20 रुपए, 10 रुपए, सो अगर मेरी बिल की वैल्यू 199 रुपीज तक की है, हाउ मच? 199 रुपीज, 199, तो मुझे उसको लिए सेपरेट इनवॉइस जनरेट करने की जरूरत नहीं है. सो इफ माय इनवॉइस वैल्यू इज नॉट मोर देन 199 रुपीज, then I don't need to separately invoice each and every bill. What I don't need to issue each and every bill. What I'll do is मैं उस दिन के सारे बिलों को एक साथ कंसोलिडेट कर दूंगा और एक ही बिल जनरेट कर दूंगा, rather than issuing 100 rupees bill, 120 rupees bill, 140 rupees bill, 150 rupees bill. No, I don't need to issue these bills. Rather than that, what I can do is I can issue a consolidated invoice for the whole day. So that is called consolidated invoice at the end of the day. But the point is the bill should not be more than 199. and the buyer doesn't need ITC. So he is B2C. It's a B2C transaction, not B2B transaction. So if it's a B2C transaction and the invoice value is less than 199 rupees, then I don't need to issue a separate invoice. What I'll do, I will issue a consolidated invoice for the whole day. Next point is HSN requirement I already covered. Yeah, there is one more thing, revised tax invoice. Now this is interesting. I told you that if I am applying within 30 days, then I got registered not from the grant of registration. I got registered from the day I am liable. So from this day, I am actually registered. So from this day till this date, I am registered and I can collect GST from my customer. I can issue taxable invoice, but the problem with this invoice is I can't write down my GST number in that invoice. So even if I am legally collecting my tax, if I'm legally issuing my invoice, the problem is that I don't have GST number when I'm issuing the invoices because my GST number will be issued on this date and I will be issuing all the invoices from this date. So what about from this date to this date? So from the date of liability till its grant, I will be revising all those invoices with my GST number. And that's why for all these invoices, I need to issue revised tax invoice within 30 days. So yeah, I need to issue revised tax invoice within 30 days for all the invoices that I have already issued. I need to revise those invoices and I will get 30 days to revise those invoices. Got it? Very nice. Now, in taxable invoicing chapter now, this is a very important provision from where we are starting, e-invoicing. And you know what e-invoicing says? आप physical invoice तो issue कर ही रहे हो, everybody is issuing taxable invoice. Now, also with that, you need to upload online information of your invoices. Yeah. So whatever invoices you are issuing, you also need to update online about that invoices, and for that you need to issue invoices. So yeah, आपको अपने इनवॉइस को जब जनरेट कर रहे हो तब उसका एक ऑनलाइन इंफॉर्मेशन भी आपको पोर्टल पे डालना पड़ेगा और वहां पे आपको ई इनवॉइसेस जनरेट करने पड़ते हैं. अब खास बात यह है कि इसकी टर्नओवर लिमिट हर बार बदल रही है. अगर मैं रीसेंट टर्नओवर लिमिट की बात करूं तो मुझे लगता है आपके एग्जाम में 10 सीआर की लिमिट एप्लीकेबल होगी. पहले 50 सीआर होती थी जो कि अब रिड्यूस होके 5 सीआर तक पहुंच गई है, लेकिन आपके एग्जाम सीआर होनी चाहिए. एग्जाम आपके दिसंबर में, सो फ्रॉम अगस्त सितंबर ओनली इट इज नाउ 5 सीआर. सो मेरे हिसाब से आपके एग्जाम में जो इनवॉइसिंग की लिमिट एप्लीकेबल होनी चाहिए वो 10 सीआर है. तो अगर आप कोई 17-18 से लेके अभी तक किसी भी ईयर में अगर आपका टर्नओवर 10 सीआर को एक्सीड किया है इन एनी ऑफ द ईयर, एनी ईयर, then you are liable for generating e-invoice. It means you have to generate e-invoice with your physical invoice, and you need to write down that invoice reference number in your invoice also. So ये इनवॉइस जनरेट करने से पहले आपको इनवॉइस जनरेट करना पड़ेगा और आपके इनवॉइस पे वो IRN नंबर लिखना पड़ेगा. विदाउट दैट IRN नंबर योर इनवॉइस विल बी कंसिडर्ड एज इनवैलिड. या दिस इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग टू अंडरस्टैंड. अगर आप बिना इनवॉइसिंग के अगर इनवॉइस जनरेट करते हो तो वो इनवैलिड माना जाएगा. इट विल बी इनवैलिड इफ यू आर जनरेटिंग e-invoices without any kind of IRN number. So if e-invoicing is applicable, then you need to quote that IRN number in your invoice, and that's why you need to prepare e-invoicing. Otherwise, your invoice will be invalid. So when the e-invoicing is applicable, when in any of the preceding year from 17-18 till this date, if your turnover is crossing 10 CR in any of the year, then it is e-invoicing is applicable for you. Very nice. Now, one more important thing is, अगर हम e-invoice generate करते हैं, so the limit will be changed. Now it is not 550 crores, now it is 10 crores for you. इन लोगों को e-invoicing नहीं करनी है. So this is the list of people who are not liable for e-invoicing. They are exempt from e-invoicing. The very first is SEZ zones. Second is insurance or banking companies. Third one is GTA, fourth one is passenger transport services, and fifth one is multiplexes and screen, and finally any government department or local authority. So these people are exempt from invoicing if they are sales, they are insurance or banking company, they are goods transport agencies, or if they are passenger transport services, or if they are multiplexes or cinema halls, or they are government department or local authorities, they don't need to issue invoices. But other than that, everybody needs to issue invoices. Again, only SES is covered, not developer of SES. So SES units doesn't need to issue invoices, but of course, other than SES, other people needs to issue invoices. So these are the people who are exempt from issuing invoices. This question can be asked in your exam, that who are required to issue invoices. So these are the people who are required to issue invoices. Good. Now, next document is called bill of supply. So after taxable invoices and e-invoicing, another document is called bill of supply. And this bill of supply is only and only required if you are you are selling exempt goods or composition dealer. So if you are selling exempt goods or if you are a composition dealer, then rather than issuing taxable invoice, you will be issuing bill of supply. So यहाँ पे टैक्स के बिना बिल इशू करना पड़ता है, क्योंकि आप टैक्स कस्टमर से नहीं ले सकते, बिकॉज या तो आपकी सप्लाई एग्जम्प्ट है, या आप कंपोजिशन में आते हैं तो आपको फिर टैक्स कलेक्ट करने का अधिकार नहीं होता है। और अगर आप टैक्स कलेक्ट नहीं कर सकते तो इन दैट केस यू नीड टू इशू बिल ऑफ सप्लाई इंस्टेड ऑफ टैक्सेबल इनवॉइस। तो आप टैक्सेबल इनवॉइस की जगह क्या इशू करेंगे? बिल ऑफ सप्लाई इशू करेंगे। सर तो बिल ऑफ सप्लाई के कंटेंट में क्या फर्क है? लगभग सारे कंटेंट सेम है, बस टैक्स 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 वाला कंटेंट सारा हट जाएगा। यस, बिकॉज हम बिल में टैक्स जोड़ ही नहीं सकते, तो टैक्स वाला सारा कंटेंट हट जाएगा, बाकी सारा कंटेंट लगभग बिल ऑफ सप्लाई और टैक्सेबल इनवॉइस का सेम है। ओके, नेक्स्ट डॉक्यूमेंट इज रिसीट वाउचर। इट इज वेरी इजी यार। रिसीट वाउचर क्या है? आपने अगर पैसा एडवांस लिया है किसी से, तो हम बदले में रसीद लेते हैं एडवांस देने की, उस रसीद को जीएसटी में रिसीट वाउचर बोलते हैं। सो इफ आई एम रिसीविंग एनी काइंड ऑफ एडवांस, देन आई नीड टू इशू रिसीट वाउचर बिकॉज आई हैव रिसीव्ड दैट एडवांस. So that is a document called receipt voucher. There is one interesting thing to understand about this receipt voucher. If at the time of advance, I don't know what rate will be applicable on my goods, because the order is not clear that which goods I need to supply right now. They have given me the advance amount. The order is not clearly specified. Then I need to charge 18% GST. Yeah. And second thing is, if the nature of supply is not ascertainable, if I am not sure whether the address of delivery will be in the same state or another state, because only the advance has been received, I don't know whether the delivery will be in the same state or another state, then it will always be considered as interstate supply. Always. If the nature of supply is not specified, always assume interstate supply. If the rate of tax is not given, always assume 18% rate of GST. This will be our clear assumption. Okay. नेक्स्ट, रिफंड वाउचर। सर पैसा लिया, रिसीट वाउचर इशू किया, पर कोई सप्लाई नहीं करी, तो मुझे पैसा रिफंड करने के लिए डॉक्यूमेंट इशू करना पड़ेगा, दैट इज कॉल्ड रिफंड वाउचर। नाम से ही समझ में आ रहा है, द नेम क्लियरली सेज दैट इफ आई एम रिफंडिंग द अमाउंट ऑफ मनी, देन आई विल इशू द रिफंड वाउचर. What is the next document? Next document is called delivery challan. This is again very interesting document. You know what this document is for? This document is for those moment of goods where I am not preparing invoices. So अगर goods कहीं जा रहा है, there is a movement of goods, but I am not preparing invoice for that because of these following reason, then instead of invoice I will issue delivery challan. तो गुड्स हमेशा जब किसी के मूवमेंट में रहे, डिलीवरी में रहे, ट्रांसपोर्ट में रहे, साथ में एक डॉक्यूमेंट होना चाहिए, दैट डॉक्यूमेंट इज कॉल्ड डिलीवरी चालान. सो व्हेन इट इज रिक्वायर्ड, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ऑन सेल ऑन अप्रूवल बेसिस. सेकंड, व्हेन आई एम painting transported for exhibition, it's again kind of a sale of approval. Goods are sent for job work, it's not a sale, so I don't need to prepare tax invoices. Liquid gas, because quantity is not ascertainable at the time of sale, so I can't prepare invoice right now because quantity is not sure. Semi knockdown or complete knockdown situation, when the goods are going in disassembled form. So in that case, even if I am issuing invoice, because I am delivering the goods to multiple transport, मान लीजिए एग्जाम्पल के फॉर्म में एक विंड मिल को मैं ट्रांसपोर्ट कर रहा हूँ, and that windmill will be going not in one vehicle but in multiple vehicles. So what I will do is I will have one invoice, but for all the vehicles I need to prepare a document called delivery challan. So yeah, मेरे पास एक कंसाइनमेंट नहीं है, कंसाइनमेंट 5 है पर गुड्स एक है, और डिलीवरी 5 कंसाइनमेंट की 5 व्हीकल में हो रही है, जबकि बिल एक है. तो इन दैट केस आई नीड टू प्रिपेयर 5 डिलीवरी चालान्स बिकॉज आई ओनली हैव वन इनवॉइस. So with every vehicle, I need to issue a document. That document will be called delivery challan. Okay, great. And these are the reason why I'll issue the delivery challan. So again, this is interesting. Very nice. Moving towards the next point. This is very exam. It is very important for exam beta. Debit note and credit note is very important for exam. So do remember this point. Section 34 covers what is debit note and what is credit note. First of all, simple भाषा में समझाऊं तो अगर मुझे डिस्काउंट देना है या मुझे सेल्स रिटर्न करना है या मुझे टैक्स रेट को कम करना है, in all these case I will issue credit note. When the invoice value is more than the actual value, when the rate of tax is more than the actual rate of tax, when the quantity is deficient, when there is a sales return, I am giving the discount. In all these cases, I will be issuing credit note. So bill को कम करने के लिए I need to issue credit note और bill को बढ़ाने के लिए I need to issue debit note. तो अगर मुझे अपना इनवॉइस का वैल्यू कम करने का है, अगर मुझे अपनी इनवॉइस की टैक्स को कम करने का है, सो आई विल ऑलवेज बी इशूइंग credit note and there is a time limit to issue credit note. What is the time limit? There's an amendment here. It is not September month. Now it is updated. The 30th November of the succeeding financial year or date of filing annual return. ये अपडेट आपको याद हो तो आईटीसी की टाइम लिमिट में भी था. अगर आपने आईटीसी क्लेम के टाइम लिमिट पढ़ा था तो वहां पे भी अपडेट था. सितंबर से अपडेट हो गया, अभी 30th नवंबर हो गया है. यहाँ पे भी अपडेटेड 30th November of the succeeding financial year or date of filing annual return whichever is earlier. This is the time limit of issuing credit note. तो अगर आप क्रेडिट नोट इशू करना चाहते हैं तो आपको इस ईयर में कोई भी इनवॉइस इशू किया है उसका क्रेडिट नोट आप अगले ईयर के नवंबर मंथ तक कर सकते हो. मींस इवन आफ्टर क्लोजिंग ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल ईयर यू विल गेट 9 months to issue 8 months to issue credit note. March से April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 7 months. Sorry, 7, 8, 9, 9 months. I am confused. Was told. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. I'll get 8 months. Eight is na 7, na 9. It's 8. Okay. So I'll get 8 months to issue credit note. Or if I am filing the annual return before that, of course, after filing the annual return, I can't do any adjustment of that financial year. So जिस financial year में invoice issue किया है, उसका sale return book करना है, उसको discount देना है, उसका tax rate कम करना है, उस invoice में कोई change करना है, I will be issuing credit note and the time limit is 30th November or annual return, whichever is earlier. Very good. Contents are exactly same. एंड डेबिट नोट इज कंप्लीट ऑपोजिट ऑफ क्रेडिट नोट. बिल की वैल्यू को बढ़ाना है, टैक्स रेट को बढ़ाना है, गुड्स की क्वांटिटी को बढ़ाना है, तो इन दैट केस आई विल बी इशूइंग डेबिट नोट. बट या डेबिट नोट में गवर्नमेंट को टैक्स एक्स्ट्रा मिलेगा बेटा, सो देयर इज नो टाइम लिमिट. गवर्नमेंट को जब टैक्स एक्स्ट्रा आना होता है ना तो गवर्नमेंट कभी भी टाइम लिमिट नहीं लगाती है कि इतने टाइम में इशू करना ही पड़ेगा. सो देयर इज नो टाइम लिमिट टू इशू डेबिट नोट. एंड इफ यू आर इशूइंग एनी डेबिट नोट देन यू नीड टू पे टैक्स. There is no question. But yeah, there is no time limit to issue debit note. So debit note will increase the value of the invoice. Credit note will decrease the value of the invoice. Debit note will increase the liability of tax. Credit note will decrease the liability of the tax. There is a time limit of issuing credit note, but there is no time limit of issuing debit note. So this is about section 34, debit note and credit note. And what I did is I have attached the practical question of these two chapters. So you will be getting question bank as well with these notes of not only registration chapter. I think registration chapters के बाद मैंने documentation के भी questions इसमें attach कर दिए, पर हमारा एक document रह गया है तो वो notes भी मैं इसमें attach करके वो भी साथ में ही आपको पढ़ा देता हूँ. And that document is called e-way bill. तो e-way bill को भी मैं इसी PDF में attach कर देता हूँ और फिर हम e-way bill को भी discuss कर लेते हैं तो हमारा e-way bill भी cover हो जाएगा. Just give me a second. मैं e-way bill को भी इसी notes के साथ attach कर देता हूँ. So now my e-way bill PDF is also attached with your PDF, and this PDF will be available in a Google link. That link is same for last 2 or 3 sessions, and the link I think has been already shared, and I'll show the QR code for that link. But first, I'll take you to the next PDF, and that is again attached in this notes. That is called e-way bill. It's very interesting. And what it says, listen very carefully. Now we have one more document to cover. It's a very important document called e-way bill. So for transporting any goods, अगर मुझे गाड़ी में कुछ भी ले जाना है तो आई शुड हैव ए डॉक्यूमेंट एंड दैट डॉक्यूमेंट इज कॉल्ड ई-वे बिल. मेरे हिसाब से ये नाम तो आप लोगों ने सुना ही होगा. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, ई-वे बिल स्टैंड फॉर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक वे बिल and it is required to be carried with a carrier of the consignment. मतलब जो ट्रांसपोर्टर है, जो ट्रक है, उसे डॉक्यूमेंट कैरी करना पड़ता है. एंड दिस डॉक्यूमेंट इज imposed by section, power of a section under section 68. But the main thing we have to cover is there's a rule, and that rule is called rule 138. You need to remember this rule number. So e-way bill कहाँ से govern होता है? e-way bill govern होता है एक rule से. The name of the rule is rule 138 of CGST rules. And you know what rule 138 says? There are a lot of things rule 138 says. I'll start with a very important point. This is the point. Any मूवमेंट ऑफ गुड्स, कोई भी अगर गुड्स का मूवमेंट हो रहा है, उसके पहले एक रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन जो कि गुड्स को ले जा रहा है या हु इज कॉजिंग द मूवमेंट ऑफ गुड्स, whether it is for supply or other than supply, it doesn't matter. If you are causing the movement of goods, मतलब आपके कारण गुड्स कहीं जा रहे हैं, आपकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि आप गुड्स को कहीं ले जा रहे हो, then you need to furnish that information in a form, and that form is called EWB01. It's a form for e-way bill, and you need to furnish this information in this form. But this form contains two parts. Part A is about the transaction details. जो इनवॉइस की सारी इंफॉर्मेशन है वो जाती है पार्ट ए में. पार्ट बी कंटेन्स ट्रांसपोर्ट डिटेल, गाड़ी नंबर, गाड़ी का रूट और गाड़ी का डिस्टेंस, ये सब जाता है पार्ट बी में. So this our e-way bill is divided into two parts. Part A is about transaction details and part B is about transport details. So part A needs all the information of invoice and part B needs all the information of transport. So these are the two parts of e-way bill, part A and part B. The form number for e-way bill is called EWB01 and it need to be issued before commencement of goods, but there are few exceptions. And who will issue the key? Who needs to issue the e-way bill? Who needs to upload this e-way bill? Who needs to generate this e-way bill? Every registered person who is causing the movement of goods, whether it is for supply or other than supply. And one more thing is for any consignment value not for exceeding 50,000. सो ऐसे गुड्स जिनकी कंसाइनमेंट की वैल्यू, ट्रक में जो कंसाइनमेंट है अगर उसकी वैल्यू 50,000 रुपए से ज्यादा है, इन दैट केस e-way bill is required to be generated by a person who is causing the movement of the goods, और वो करना पड़ेगा जनरेट गाड़ी निकलने से पहले in a form EWB01. There are two parts of e-way bill, part A and part B. Part A talks about transaction, part B talks about transport details. Got it? Very nice. So first of all, one important thing we need to be clear. Sir, we have discovered right now that only e-way bill is applicable if the consignment value is more than 50,000. So what is the meaning of that consignment value? It is including tax value. Consignment value में GST amount जोड़ना है पर exempt goods की value को minus करने का. इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर मेरा जो invoice है, the invoice is of rupees 1 lakh और उसमें 40,000 रुपीज के exempt गुड्स हैं, 60,000 रुपीज के टैक्सेबल गुड्स हैं, तो कंसाइनमेंट की वैल्यू 60,000 मानी जाएगी, ना कि 40,000. और अगर इसका उल्टा है, exempt गुड्स 60 और टैक्सेबल गुड्स 40 है, तो मेरे को तो e-way bill बनाना ही नहीं पड़ेगा क्योंकि मेरी कंसाइनमेंट की वैल्यू 40,000 ही है. हमें सिर्फ exempt गुड्स की वैल्यू को इंक्लूड करना है, हमें टैक्सेबल गुड्स की वैल्यू को इंक्लूड नहीं करते हैं. जब भी हम e-way bill की मॉनेटरी लिमिट निकालते हैं, वी ऑलवेज इंक्लूड ओनली एंड ओनली exempt goods, not taxable. So only taxable goods, not exempt goods. This is the first important point you need to remember. Second important thing is, कौन बना सकता है e-way bill? Sir, of course, भेजने वाला बना सकता है. Maybe he is causing the movement. और consignee बना सकता है अगर he is causing the movement. और अगर ये दोनों नहीं बनाते हैं, so now the secondary responsible person to prepare e-way bill is transporter. ध्यान रखना, अगर बेचने वाले ने भी e-way bill नहीं बनाया, भेजने वाले भी नहीं बनाया, रिसीव करने वाले ने भी नहीं बनाया, तो ट्रांसपोर्टर ये नहीं बोल सकता उन्होंने नहीं बनाया तो मेरी क्या गलती है. ऑफ कोर्स ट्रांसपोर्टर को e-way bill बनाना पड़ जाएगा. दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट या तो भेजने वाला बना ले या रिसीव करने वाला बना ले, और अगर दोनों नहीं बना पा रहे हैं देन ट्रांसपोर्टर नीड टू प्रिपेयर e-way bill. नेक्स्ट इज कोई भी ई कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर या कुरियर एजेंसी अगर गुड्स को ले जा रही है तो उन्हें बनाना पड़ेगा ई वे बिल। जैसे अगर अमेजोन पार्सल डिलीवर कर रहा है तो ई वे बिल बनाने की लाइबिलिटी अमेजोन की आ जाएगी। कोई कुरियर कंपनी अगर पार्सल डिलीवर कर रही है तो कुरियर कंपनी की आ जाएगी लाइबिलिटी ई वे बिल बनाने की। इन केस ऑफ प्रिंसिपल और जॉब वर्क एनीबडी कैन prepare the e-way bill, whether it is principal or the job worker. So these are the people who can prepare e-way bill. देखो गवर्नमेंट को इससे मतलब नहीं कौन बना रहा है, गवर्नमेंट को मतलब है कोई भी मूवमेंट ऑफ गुड्स हो रहा है तो इट शुड बी प्रॉपरली इन्फॉर्म्ड, दैट मूवमेंट शुड बी ट्रांसपेरेंट, दैट मूवमेंट शुड बी विद लीगल डॉक्यूमेंट। अब वो कंसाइनर बनाए कंसाइनी बनाए इससे गवर्नमेंट को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है। ए पर्सन शुड कैरी ई-वे बिल, दैट इज इंपॉर्टेंट। ओके, नाउ पार्ट ए कंटेन्स ऑल द इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफ इनवॉइस। तो पार्ट ए में सारे इंफॉर्मेशन आते हैं, जीएसटी नंबर, रिसिपेंट का, प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई, देयर डॉक्यूमेंट नंबर लाइक इनवॉइस नंबर और डिलीवरी चालान नंबर और डेट, वैल्यू, एचएसएन कोड एंड ऑल द रीजंस फॉर ट्रांसपोर्टेशन। पार्ट बी में व्हीकल नंबर और ट्रांसपोर्टर का आईडी आता है, ट्रांसपोर्टर का डॉकेट नंबर आता है, डॉक्यूमेंट नंबर आता है, ये सब चीजें पार्ट बी में आती है। पर यहाँ पे एक इंपॉर्टेंट चीज और समझने की है, हमने अभी क्या पढ़ा था कि 50,000 से कम के केस में ई-वे बिल नहीं बनता, पर देयर आर टू एक्सेप्शंस। If the goods are going for job work and if the goods are handicraft, then there is no limit of 50,000. अगर गुड्स जॉब वर्क के लिए जा रहे हैं 50,000 रुपए तक के, भले 50,000 से कम है, अगर जॉब वर्क के लिए जा रहे हैं, या फिर if the goods are handicraft goods, then their movement is always required to be covered with e-way bill. There is no monetary limit for handicraft goods and job work goods. So except handicraft and job work, the goods value should be 50,000, more than 50,000. But if it's a handicraft goods or job work goods, then the limit is not applicable. You need to prepare e-way bill. Very good. Sir, is it option that I can prepare e-way bill even if my value is less than 50,000? Definitely. अगर मेरी गुड्स की वैल्यू 50,000 से कम भी है और मेरे ऊपर कंपलसरी नहीं भी है, तो मैं चाहूँ तो ऑप्शनली ई-वे बिल बना सकता हूँ। आई जस्ट वांट टू अवॉइड चेकिंग, आई जस्ट वांट टू अवॉइड unnecessary kind of legal proceedings or unnecessary doubts. You know what I can do? I can prepare e-way bill even if my turnover or if my total consignment value is less than 50,000. Then also I can prepare e-way bill. Very nice. Now, next is हमने अभी पढ़ा था कि अगर कोई पर्सन ई-वे बिल बना रहा है तो उसे मूवमेंट स्टार्ट करने से पहले बनाना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि ट्रक को साथ में कैरी करना पड़ेगा। पर अगर आप रेलवे और एयर और वेसल से जा रहे हो ना, तो ई-वे बिल कमेंसमेंट के बाद भी बन सकता है, बिकॉज दे डोंट नीड टू कैरी ई-वे बिल विद देम। ट्रक वाले को ई-वे बिल अपने साथ कैरी करना पड़ता है, पर रेलवे और एयर और वेसल वालों को अपने साथ ई-वे बिल कैरी नहीं करना पड़ता। उसका रीजन है क्योंकि उनको रास्ते में रोक के कहीं पे चेक नहीं किया जा सकता है। इफ यू आर गोइंग बाय एयरक्राफ्ट, what do you think, whether you can be intervened by any officer in transit? An aircraft will be intervened by any officer in transit? Not possible. So they don't need to carry e-way bill with their journey, and that's why they need to prepare e-way bill before commencement only in case of road. If I'm taking the goods by road, if the goods are going by railway, air or vessel, then it is not required that e-way bill should be prepared before commencement. Even it is prepared after commencement, it's okay, no problem in that. Next. Yeah, one more thing is, it is possible sometimes that I am not able to prepare e-way bill because I don't have vehicle number. Sometimes it's happened like I have all the details of goods, but I don't have the details of vehicle number because last में 1 hour पहले truck decide होगा. It's not yet decided that which vehicle will transport the goods. So what I can do is, I am required to prepare the e-way bill. What I will do is I will only prepare part A and I will assign my part B to the transporter. तो मैं part A भरूंगा और पार्ट ए में ट्रांसपोर्टर की आईडी डाल दूंगा, तो पार्ट बी मुझे नहीं भरना पड़ेगा, पार्ट बी फिर ट्रांसपोर्टर भर सकता है। तो इन केस इफ आई एम आई डोंट नो what is the vehicle number or what is the exact transporter ID and exact document number, what I can do is I can only file part A and I will assign part B to the transporter. तो ट्रांसपोर्टर बचा हुआ पार्ट बी जो है वो भर लेगा, मुझे पार्ट ए भरने की जरूरत है, पार्ट बी मुझे भरने की जरूरत नहीं रहेगी। नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज, यस, अगर ये केस आप ले लीजिए कि अगर मान लीजिए मैं अपने गुड्स को ट्रांसपोर्टर तक के एड्रेस तक पहुंचा रहा हूं, तो मैं बिना पार्ट बी भरे पहुंचा सकता हूं अगर ट्रांसपोर्टर का एड्रेस 50 किलोमीटर के अंदर अंदर है। तो अगर ट्रांसपोर्टर का एड्रेस 50 किलोमीटर के अंदर अंदर है तो मुझे पार्ट बी नहीं भरना पड़ेगा, मैं पार्ट ए भर के पार्ट बी असाइन कर दूंगा ट्रांसपोर्टर को, और ट्रांसपोर्टर ही उसका पार्ट बी भर के उसके ईवेबल को जनरेट करके आगे ले जाएगा। बट द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन माई प्लेस and the transporter place should not be more than 50 kilometer. Sir, what if it is more than 50 kilometer, then I need to prepare two e-waybill. एक ईवेबल बनाना पड़ेगा मुझे यहां से लेके ट्रांसपोर्टर की प्लेस तक का, और एक ईवेबल बनाना पड़ेगा मुझे ट्रांसपोर्टर की प्लेस से डिलीवरी एड्रेस तक का। तो इसीलिए अगर 50 किलोमीटर से ज्यादा डिस्टेंस होता है तो मुझे दो ईवेबल बनाने पड़ जाएंगे। एक रहेगा फ्रॉम माय प्लेस ऑफ बिजनेस टू ट्रांसपोर्टर एंड अनदर वन विल बी फ्रॉम ट्रांसपोर्टर टू दी डिलीवरी एड्रेस। नेक्स्ट इज दिस इज द फॉर्मेट। हाँ, जैसे ही हम ईवे बिल जनरेट करते हैं, ए नंबर ऑलवेज ए नंबर हैज बीन जनरेटेड, एक नंबर जनरेट हो जाता है, ऑलवेज ए नंबर इज जनरेटेड, इट इज कॉल्ड ईबीएन नंबर, ईवे बिल नंबर। दैट ईवे बिल नंबर विल हेल्प इन ट्रैकिंग द ईवे बिल, और ईवे बिल की डॉक्यूमेंट की इंफॉर्मेशन के लिए एक ईबीएन नंबर सप्लायर, रिसीवर और ट्रांसपोर्टर को जनरेट होता है। नाउ दिस इज इंटरेस्टिंग। सर, रास्ते में व्हीकल चेंज हो गया तो क्या करना पड़ेगा? इफ माय व्हीकल get damaged or maybe there is some breakage, so in that case if I want to change vehicle in transit, can I need to prepare a new EV bill क्योंकि vehicle number तो डला हुआ है EV bill पे? No, what I just need to do is I just need to update my part B। तो मैं ऑनलाइन जाके मेरा पार्ट बी अपडेट कर सकता हूँ, मुझे नया EV bill बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है। so in case I want to change the vehicle number, even not only vehicle number, I want to change the vehicle mode as well, from water to air, from air to road, from rail to railway. In all these cases, I just need to update my part B। मुझे नया e-waybill बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है क्योंकि पूरी जर्नी को सिंगल जर्नी माना जाएगा। So for all these updates, I just need to update part B of the e-waybill। मुझे पार्ट ए को टच करने की जरूरत भी नहीं है, मैं सिर्फ पार्ट बी अपडेट कर दूंगा और मेरा e-waybill अपने आप नए व्हीकल नंबर के साथ अपडेट हो जाएगा। So I just need to update part B of the e-waybill। Very nice। नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट इज, सर ट्रांसपोर्टर के पास एक पर्सन का ईवे बिल तो आता नहीं होगा, एक ट्रक में मल्टीपल कंसाइनमेंट जा रहे होते हैं, तो फिर उस केस में वो एक काम कर सकता है, सारे ईवे बिल को कंसोलिडेट कर सकता है। तो उसके पास सारे ईवे बिल्स आ गए, उन सारे ईवे बिल्स को कंसोलिडेट करके सिंगल ईवे बिल जनरेट कर सकता है। सो ए ट्रांसपोर्टर हैज एन ऑप्शन to consolidate all the generated EV bills and make it a single EV bill, that is called consolidated EV bill, and that number is different। EV bill 01 की जगह यहाँ पे EV bill 02 हो जाएगा, और वो फिर सिंगल EV bill की जगह एक कंसोलिडेट EV bill भी कैरी करके ले जा सकता है। ट्रांसपोर्टर में जनरेट कंसोलिडेट EV bill। नाउ द क्वेश्चन राइजेस, सर EV bill बनने के बाद कैंसिल हो सकता है क्या? यस, ओनली विद इन 24 आवर्स। यस, अगर मुझे EV bill कैंसिल करना है तो मुझे 24 घंटे में करना पड़ेगा, और वो भी once EV bill has been checked by the authority, then you can't cancel the EV bill। नहीं तो हर पर्सन यही करेगा, EV bill बनाएगा, चेक करवाएगा और कैंसिल कर देगा। सॉरी, EV bill can't be cancelled if it's checked, or if you need to cancel the EV bill if it's not checked, then you need to cancel it within 24 hours। You can't cancel it after that। That is again very important point to discuss। Next, this is very important, listen very carefully, this is quite important to understand। वैलिडिटी ऑफ ईवे बिल, ईवे बिल कितने टाइम के लिए वैलिड होता है? बिकॉज ईवे बिल की वैलिडिटी उसके डिस्टेंस पे डिपेंड करती है कि आपका ट्रांसपोर्ट का डिस्टेंस कितना है। इफ यू आर कैरिंग गुड्स अप टू 200 किलोमीटर ना, देन यू विल ओनली गेट 1 डे। यस, योर ईवे बिल वैलिडिटी इज ओनली 1 डे, बट इट इज इन मल्टीपल ऑफ 200। सो अगर 150 किलोमीटर भी है तो भी 200 तक का एक दिन वैलिड होगा। अगर 250 है तो 2 डेज मिल जाएंगे, अगर 450 है तो 3 डेज मिल जाएंगे, अगर 750 है तो 4 डेज मिल जाएंगे। सो इट इज ऑलवेज इन द मल्टीपल ऑफ 200। So single day for 200 kilometers, and again multiple of 200 kilometers it will go through। But if it's a over dimensional cargo, if your cargo is so big that you can't run with a normal speed, you can't transport those goods with a normal speed, in case of over dimensional cargo, the limit is only 20 kilometers per day। So 1/10 limit for over dimensional cargo। A normal cargo 200 kilometers in 1 day, for over dimensional cargo it is 20 kilometers in 1 day। But one more interesting thing, ईवे बिल की वैलिडिटी स्टार्ट हमेशा रात को 12 बजे से ही होगी। So whenever you are generating the e-way bill, your validity will start at midnight 12। Right now it's 5 o'clock in the evening, If I am generating EV bill right now, my time limit will start with 12 midnight today. 12 midnight. So I always get the grace period on first day हमेशा ई-वे बिल का स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट रात को 12 बजे ही होने वाला है. So if I am generating e-way bill at 5, 6 or maybe in the morning, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, my e-way bill will start. The validity of my e-way bill will start only from midnight. This is again very interesting to understand. I have quoted some example. If you want to read, you can read this example. You will understand the situation as well. Very interesting. Now, I think this is again important topic. Why e-way bill is not required and when. There are few cases where e-way bill is not required to be generated. We have discussed few, like there is no e-way bill required if the distance between your place of business and the transport is 50 kilometer. First, second, no e-way bill is required if the consent value is less than 50,000. But there are few exceptions as well where there is no e-way bill required, and these are the list of the exceptions. LPG, kerosene oil, postal baggage, natural or cultural pearls, jewelry, currency, used personal household effects, coral, then नॉन मोटराइज कन्वेंस, बैलगाड़ी से गुड्स को ले जा रहे हो, घोड़ा गाड़ी से ले जा रहे हो, नॉन मोटराइज कॉन्वेंस, ट्रांसपोर्ट फ्रॉम कस्टम पोर्ट to an ICD or any port in India. So goods are going from one custom port to another custom port in India. When the respect of movement of goods which are notified by the state, some notified areas. Next, all exempt goods. I have already told you there is no e-way bill required for exempt goods. That's why we have excluded the value of exempt goods from our 50,000. You do remember? So there is no requirement of e-way bill for exempt goods. Next, no required of e-way bill for alcohol and petroleum because it is not covered under GST. These commodities are non-GST goods. Therefore, no e-way bill for alcohol and no e-way bill for petroleum products. Definitely. No e-way bill for all the goods transported under Schedule 3. If there are any goods transported under Schedule 3, of course, there is no requirement of any e-way bill. If the goods are again going from one port to another port, from one custom station to another custom station, or if the goods are going from transit cargo to Nepal or Bhutan. So if we are a transshipment port and we are transshipping this imported goods from one place to another place, and the goods are going from to Nepal and Bhutan, again, it's no e-way bill is required. Defense formation, any goods required for defense doesn't require e-way bill. E-way bill is not required when the goods are going by railway and the goods are of government. If the government is the consigner and sending goods through railway, there is no requirement of e-way bill. Empty container doesn't require e-way bill. So one more interesting thing is if the goods are the empty containers are going somewhere, then it doesn't require e-way bill. And if the goods are going not for delivery but for weighing, so before dispatch, transporter sent the truck to weighing. उसको एक certificate लेना पड़ता है, overload तो नहीं है उसका. Loading certificate, weighing certificate. So the goods need to be sent to the weigh bridge. There the vehicle will be weighed, and after weighing, then the goods will go into their destination. So if the weighing scale is within the range of 20 kilometer, there is no e-way bill required for going to the weighing scale. Of course, it's a very short duration and very small route that you need to cover. So there is no requirement for any e-way bill there as well. After that, one more important thing that we need to discuss in case of e-way bill, this is very interesting. It is amendment and it is very important. If a person has not filed return for 2 consecutive months, or if registration has been suspended, then that person doesn't make e-way bill for his turnover. It means government is saying that if you are not filing your returns for 2 months now, then we will not be allowing you to prepare e-way bill. So the problem is if the e-way bill can't be prepared, it means you can't sell your goods, you can't transport your goods. So if you are supplying some goods, then e-way bill cannot be prepared for your supply if you are not filing return on time, or if you are your registration has got suspended, then you can't prepare e-way bill. So it means government is saying you can't sell those goods, you can't do any turnover because you have not filed return for 2 consecutive months. So they will block your e-way bill facility. So your e-way bill facility will be blocked if you are not filing returns on time. That is again very interesting thing to understand. There are some another rule, like there is 138A that says that if you are carrying e-way bill, then with e-way bill you need to carry invoice or bill of supply or delivery challan as well. So not only e-way bill, you also need to carry invoice, bill of supply or delivery challan. And one more rule says that an officer can intercept your vehicle, or officer can check your vehicle, they can check your goods, and they need to prepare a report. If you are of the officer is checking your vehicle, if they are doing any kind of physical verification of your goods, they need to file a report within 24 hours. And that is a preliminary report. Final report need to be updated within 3 days. So it's a very fast process if your vehicle has been intercepted, and if your goods are physically checked, they need to file a primary report within 24 hours and final report within 3 days. Next is, if the officer is verifying the vehicle and documents and everything, he can inspect the goods. And one more interesting thing is, if the officer is checking your vehicle and he is intercepting your vehicle for more than 30 minutes without any reason, there is no checking, there is no evidence, there is nothing, I have showed my e bill, तब भी ऑफिसर पैसे लेने के लिए आपकी गाड़ी को रोक के बैठा है, you have an option to complain. There's a complaint mechanism where you can complain if the officer is intercepting you without any reason. Then you can complain. There's a form called EWB04. If he is intercepting for more than 30 minutes without any reason, then there is an option that you can complain for that. You can complain for that officer. That is regarding e-way bill. So we have covered registration. We have covered documentation. Now what I need to do is, there's one more topic, and it's a very small topic. Again, I will try to cover some part of it. It is called payment of tax. I'll cover that topic. It's a very easy topic. It will not take that much time. I'll try to cover in 5 minutes. We only have 5 minutes left, but I know I can cover this in 5 minutes. The topic is called payment of taxes. Just give me a second. I'll find out the PDF and then I'll start. Yes, this is the topic. Topic का नाम है payment of taxes. And I am attaching this with your notes. ये भी आज के notes के साथ attach कर देता हूं मैं. Yes. Topic is very simple. Payment of taxes. There are three ledgers maintained by authority for any taxpayer. It is called credit ledger, cash ledger, and लाइबिलिटी लेजर. तो अगर मेरी कोई भी लाइबिलिटी क्रिएट होती है, जैसे मैंने रिटर्न फाइल की है, तो मेरी जो लाइबिलिटी है वो लाइबिलिटी लेजर में डिपॉजिट डेबिट हो जाती है. अगर मुझे कोई आईटीसी क्लेम करना है, मुझे कोई रिबेट क्लेम करनी है, तो क्रेडिट लेजर में जाता है. और जो मैं कैश डिपॉजिट करता हूँ वो गवर्नमेंट के कैश लेजर में जाता है. वहां से ही फिर वो कैश बैलेंस सेट ऑफ होता है. सो कैश लेजर में मैं टैक्स डिपॉजिट कर सकता हूँ, इंटरेस्ट डिपॉजिट कर सकता हूँ, पेनल्टी डिपॉजिट कर सकता हूँ, और बाकी सब चीजें डिपॉजिट कर सकता हूँ. क्रेडिट लेजर में जो भी मैं क्लेम कर रहा हूँ आईटीसी में, वही डिपॉजिट कर पाऊंगा. और लाइबिलिटी लेजर में मेरी सारी लाइबिलिटी रिकॉर्ड होती जाएगी. बट वन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड, मैं जब भी टैक्स पे करने वाला हूं, जब भी मैं आउटपुट टैक्स पे करने वाला हूं, तब तो मैं क्रेडिट लेजर का यूज कर सकता हूं. यस, अगर मुझे कोई भी आउटपुट टैक्स पे करना है और मेरे पास में क्रेडिट बैलेंस रखा हुआ है, तो मैं क्रेडिट लेजर का यूज कर सकता हूं. पर अगर मुझे कोई भी आरसीएम टैक्स पे करना है, अगर मुझे कोई इंटरेस्ट पे करना है, मुझे अगर कोई पेनल्टी पे करनी है, मुझे अगर कोई लेट फीस देनी है, मुझे अगर कोई टीडीएस या टीसीएस पे करना है, आई कैन ओनली यूज कैश लेजर, आई कैन नॉट यूज क्रेडिट लेजर. तो इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि क्रेडिट लेजर का यूज सिर्फ आउटपुट लाइबिलिटी पे करने में आ सकता है. इंटरेस्ट, पेनल्टी, लेट फी, दीज थिंग्स नीड टू डिपॉजिटेड ओनली एंड ओनली इन कैश. They will not allow you to deposit your late fee using your credit. You can't do that. You need to use only cash ledger to deposit your tax, interest, and penalties. That is again very important to understand. Another important is, sir, there are 4 major and 5 minor heads of cash ledger. I can deposit my tax in IGST head, CGST head, SGST act, or cess head, and under tax, interest, penalty. But one interesting thing is, I can transfer balance from one account to another. अगर मुझे लगता है मैंने गलती से इंटरेस्ट में कैश डिपॉजिट कर दिया जबकि मुझे टैक्स में जमा कराना चाहिए था, मैं अपने हेड्स को चेंज कर सकता हूँ. आई हैव एन ऑप्शन टू ट्रांसफर कैश बैलेंस फ्रॉम वन हेड्स टू अनदर हेड्स. मेजर में भी और माइनर में भी मैं एक दूसरे में कैश ट्रांसफर कर सकता हूँ. इवन नाउ दे आर ओपनिंग वन मोर इंटरेस्टिंग ऑप्शन. आप अपनी दूसरी ब्रांच को भी कैश ट्रांसफर कर सकते हो. लाइक इफ यू आर हैविंग ए कैश लेजर बैलेंस ऑफ 1 lakh in this branch, in this GST number, you are having another GST number of same branch in another state, and I want to transfer my this cash balance to another branch, I can do that. That is also possible. तो आप अपने किसी distinct person किसी ब्रांच को भी कैश लेजर से अमाउंट ट्रांसफर करना चाहो तो कर सकते हो. एक और बात है सर, लाइबिलिटी लेजर में रैंकिंग कैसे होती है? दिस इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग टू अंडरस्टैंड. अगर मान लीजिए मेरे पास बहुत सारी लाइबिलिटी है जो मुझे पे करनी है, so what I need to discharge first and then what I need to discharge second. First of all, सबसे पहले previous tax period के tax पे होंगे. So I have a lot of liabilities left. तो मेरे पास रैंकिंग में सबसे पहले मुझे किसको सेट ऑफ करना पड़ेगा? प्रीवियस टैक्स पीरियड्स के टैक्स जो भी मैंने सेल्फ असेस रिटर्न के अंदर ड्यू दिखाए हैं वो सब. फिर मुझे करंट पीरियड के रिटर्न्स के टैक्स ड्यूज सेट ऑफ करने पड़ेंगे और उसके बाद ही मेरी कोई भी 73 और 74 के अंदर डिमांड निकली हुई डिमांड ऑर्डर है उसका टैक्स उसके बाद भराया जाएगा. मतलब आई नीड टू फाइल प्रीवियस ईयर रिटर्न्स फर्स्ट, प्रीवियस मंथ return first, then only I can file the current month return, and then only I can pay the demand order. So this is the sequence of discharging my liability. I can't touch with that sequence. I need to follow this sequence. I have also attached an example ताकि आपको उससे समझ में आ जाए कि sequence कैसे follow करना है. Now I have already covered cross utilization. वो मैंने इसके अंदर भी कवर किया है, पर मैं क्रॉस यूटिलाइजेशन ऑलरेडी कवर कर चुका हूँ कि कैसे एक आईटीसी दूसरे सेट ऑफ होती है, वो हम ऑलरेडी कवर कर चुके हैं. एंड देयर इज वन मोर इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्ट, दैट इज इंटरेस्ट. इंटरेस्ट में एक ही चीज ध्यान रखने का है जो कि बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. अगर आप आईटीसी के ऊपर इंटरेस्ट पे कर रहे हो बिकॉज यू हैव क्लेम्ड और यूटिलाइज्ड रॉन्ग आईटीसी, देन द रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट इज ऑलवेज 18%. बट इंटरेस्ट कब से लगेगा, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. देयर इज एन अमेंडमेंट इन दिस. Interest will be applicable not from the date of ITC claim. Interest will be applicable from the date of ITC utilization. तो आईटीसी क्लेम करने के दिन से इंटरेस्ट कभी भी नहीं लगता है. इंटरेस्ट उस दिन से लगता है आईटीसी पे जिस दिन आपने आईटीसी को यूज किया है, क्योंकि जब तक आपने आईटीसी को यूज नहीं किया है वो आपके वॉलेट बैलेंस में पड़ी हुई है. तो उस केस में आपको आईटीसी पे टैक्स उतने पे देना है जिस दिन आपने यूटिलाइज किया है. So this is about section 50 and section 49, and this is one more chapter I have covered. It is called payment of tax. ये चैप्टर भी मैं आपके नोट्स में अटैच कर देता हूँ. और ये नोट्स आपको कहाँ से मिलेंगे, उसका क्यूआर कोड मैं आपको बता देता हूँ कौन सा क्यूआर कोड है जहां से आपको ये नोट्स मिल जाएंगे. तो ये सारे के सारे नोट्स जो है वो मैं अपडेट कर देता हूँ और आप क्यूआर कोड से उसको स्कैन करके डाउनलोड कर सकते हो. वैसे मैंने लिंक आप लोगों को पिछले लेक्चर्स में भी दी हुई है, फिर भी आई विल शो यू द क्यूआर कोड जहां से आप ये लेक्चर जो है ये पीडीएफ डाउनलोड कर सकते हो. आई विल अपडेट दिस इन लाइक नेक्स्ट 5 minutes. जस्ट स्कैन दिस क्यूआर कोड. इस क्यूआर कोड से आप इजीली ये सारे के सारे पीडीएफ डाउनलोड कर पाओगे जो मैंने अपलोड किए हुए हैं. Okay, thank you for so much guys. This is all for today. We have covered a lot of major portion of GST. We are having last revision session on I think 1st December. 1st December we have the last session, and on that day we'll try to cover customs. Thank you so much guys. Thank you for patiently listening. Enjoy. Good day. Bye bye guys. Thank you.